Hi, welcome to Spinster Actually. Today's podcast episode is a very heavily knitting focused one. I guess I'll start with what I'm wearing because this is like a finished object, as they say, from my last episode where it wasn't finished. Hopefully I'll insert some pictures or footage or whatever of me wearing this so you can see it in full. This is the Tolster tee by Crawford, knit with the leftover knitting for merino pure silk that I had, and then some onion knit in the pink and the green, and then also a supplementary pink which was in more of the rest of it, which is the Filcolano Merci, and yes, and then also there's a little bit of the, which you can't see, but it's right on the edge there, or I guess there's a line here. Oh, this is the line, the one with the orange, of natural sock, woolly mammoth natural sock, I think is what it's called, but there's a very, very small amount of that in this, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. I kind of fucked up because I did do a gauge swatch, I think, and with all of the different colours and stuff, not because they're slightly different fabrics and vibes and stuff, but basically I think I must have known that when I took the gauge swatch it was one stitch off, and so I had clearly decided to make plans as to how I would therefore deal with it, and instead I think I started off that way and then I completely forgot that had happened, and then also I picked to do bust shaping because there's three, well, there's knitting it as the pattern is, and then there's two bust shaping options, a slightly larger one and then a larger one, and I think I picked the largest, but I can't actually remember anymore, and it really did not work. It was just too it was just creating this incredible amount of fabric here, which is not how I wanted it to look, and it was also clearly unnecessary. So I had to go basically all the way back to this part of it, re-knit it. This was before the last episode, this was in February or something, but I had a lot of steam for it, and then I realized I made this massive mistake and I'd have to go back very far, at least that felt that way. So then it did also slow down a bit, but I had then picked it up more and was getting closer to the end. I can't remember how much it was finished in the last episode, but I guess if you watch that you maybe will remember. And what else? Yeah, so I also wanted to do, so yes, in terms of the bust shaping, in the end I'm not sure that I did any of it. I just increased the pattern said, and then tried it on to see if it fit and was working, and it was. I mean, my neckline is definitely wider than it maybe is supposed to be, because I didn't want it to be super tight, and also because I chose this picot edge. This is the one part of it that I haven't blocked, which is why it's sitting like this, but hopefully when I block it it will not sit like that anymore. Because I did block these. I have worn this now, so I will wash it and then I'm going to block this finally. It's just I did it in section, so I also did finally block the end, the hem, because I don't have enough pins to do it all at once, which is why I was doing it in sections. And I thought the most important were really the sleeves. So yeah, honestly it looks so cute on camera, very happy with it. I think the combination of colors is nice. I do feel my misuse of the natural sock was maybe silly, but what's done is done, and I'm certainly not undoing it now. And I put a picot edge around every part of it, so around the sleeves, around the hem, and also around the neckline, which I really like. And yeah, I definitely do feel I want to knit this pattern again, with either the awareness that I'm not getting gauge, so I need to figure out more how to deal with that, and or knit it to gauge, and and as a result actually then I can have a real sense of what the pattern is like. But I'm I think this is really cute. I don't have plans to do another one yet. I'm not sure what I would make it with, and I'm I've got lots of different like plans. But yeah, is there anything else I want to say about it? I guess like the one thing I'm a little worried about is that there is like wool content in this, and obviously it's kind of like a summer top. This is obviously completely fine on my skin, and the rest of it is mostly okay. It's maybe a little prickly, and it's also maybe like a little bit warm for me, so like I probably can't wear this after May, I imagine, although who knows. But like I am like a hot person, and I do get pretty like, yeah, hot easily, so yeah. But I don't know, I'm also interested to see how it like, yeah, washes and works together and stuff like that. I definitely feel like having worn it once, the sleeves have now like widened and also kind of just like chilled out a bit, but that's also because like I basically wet like this amount of it so that I could do it, so it's not like the rest of it has been blocked. So maybe when the whole thing has been washed and blocked, it might be a little like even more airy. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, that's my finished object, my knitting. I'm happy with it. It's also like me made May, but also I've been doing the 75 hard style challenge, but not like every single day because I'm chronically ill, like I can't do that. But it has meant that today I wore it with like a dress to see if it would work, and I kind of think it did work, so that's nice. And I also feel like what's nice about it being like me made May, which I have to say I really hate like the name, but it's a really like, it's a good, you know, initiative or whatever is the right word. But it has made me realise like I really am wearing like a lot of the clothes that I make myself like every day, and that's partially because I wear a lot of skirts and I've made a lot of skirts, but it's just really lovely to like know, because like I want to be wearing the clothes I make. So yeah, I am planning to actually make a video about like all of the outfits I have been wearing. Anyway, a little bit of a side tangent, moving on to things I'm currently knitting. Okay, so I was kind of waiting to film this podcast until I had finished this so I could have two finished objects. Not, you know, because I wanted that to be two, but just because I was like, oh, and then I'll finish this pretty soon, so blah blah blah. But recently I undid the whole sleeve on this, so I was like, okay, it's not gonna happen anytime soon. So but it has made progress since I showed it last time. So this is my Sicimbrium. Should I put it on so you can see what it's like so far? I could do that. And also then I can see what the sleeve is looking like right now. It's by the Crimson Stitchery. I guess you won't see like all of it, but I think like this gives more of a sense of like this like gorgeous like drop stitch yoke. I think this is super lovely. And I think last time I did talk about how like I wasn't particularly sure if I like bobbles, so I just did half of them instead of like not doing them. Which isn't the same as not doing them, but I think it's looking good, and honestly I think it looks really good on screen. And then I've now got this as the sleeve. Previously I had knit it the way, well, I had picked up and begun to knit it the way that the pattern said I should do it. But what kind of it was giving me, but then I did the decreases way sooner than the pattern, because otherwise I was like, this is going to be like a gigantic sleeve, and then it's just going to be gigantic, and I didn't want that. It's not that I want it to be like super tight fitting, but I don't want it to be like loads of excess material. So then I like undid the sleeve. Honestly, doesn't this look good? Ugh, okay. Then I undid the sleeve, and I just recently re-picked up around, and then I like basically immediately did some decreases and then some more decreases. And then yeah, now I got to figure out what else to do, because obviously I can't follow the pattern and how it has been, but I think this is looking much more how I want it to than it was at this stage last time. And I think even if I just kept knitting at this length, it would already be like much less massive as it was last time. I will say I think that's what I've struggled with a bit with this pattern, but I think that's, you know, again, like I'm not really knitting it to 100% gauge. I think this was my gauge swatch for it, which I think is kind of the same gauge. And so yeah, I'm knitting at slightly larger needles. And so as a result, instead of doing like the size 7 or something that would have fit me, I made sure to do the size 4. But I think that, and that has basically worked. The only thing is that I think ultimately yoke constructions, like circular yoke constructions, are maybe kind of slightly doomed to fail. I mean, maybe that's not completely fair, but like in the sense that this has, No, you can't really see, but basically I think I have a picture which we'll show it, but basically there's quite a lot of like fabric in the back, like unnecessary fabric, and then the front is like quite close fitting, and I did have to be careful that my that it would fit like the front of me even if the back was like very loose. And I have decreased quite a lot at the back, and you can tell, and I do wish it didn't look like that, but I'm not going to redo it. It's just something to like learn for next time, because part of me was like, well, maybe I should have done the size 3 of the yoke, but the thing is I think then the yoke wouldn't fit at the front, because of the way that you apportion stitches, but you are supposed to be apportioning less on the back, so even with that less amount it was still like gigantic. So I'm not really sure what to do there, and I'm pretty sure I didn't even increase all the way on the back that you're supposed to. So yeah, there've definitely been some fitting stuff, which could also be partially me and like how I'm knitting it at a different size, but at the same time I obviously am trying to like make up for that and knit like a smaller size than I would, and so even with that it feels like this would lead to quite a gigantic piece. But I could be wrong, and obviously I can't again like completely judge it until I've knit it at like how it says it should be knitted. But I wanted to use this yarn for it, which yeah I haven't talked about, but it is the it girl of the yarn world, Nora yarns. Oh, this is just packaging, I guess. And it is Nora Yukata. It has 50% silk, 25% wool, and 25% polyamide, and they come in these like gigantic 200-gram balls with 720 meters in them, and honestly, like, isn't that gorgeous? And like, it's really working for me. But yeah, honestly, I really thought that I was like gonna struggle to make this out of two like 400 grams. But it really doesn't seem that way. Also, it's partially because I do have like a penchant for like cropped things, but obviously, like, you know, I'm fat, like there's lots of fabric that needs to be made so that it will fit, and I don't tend to like things super tight fitting, although I do like them to have a certain kind of closeness to like my shape, I guess, in some ways, and then in other ways maybe less so. But yeah, I think I am going to be able to get the sleeve out of all of this, considering I did have to crack into this next one to do it with the last sleeve shape, which was obviously much bigger, but in this case I think I might be able to do it. Which would be cool, because then it means that there's no like disruption of the like way the pattern flows. But yeah, and then I've got this whole thing for the other sleeve, which will leave me with quite a lot left, which makes me kind of both want to like knit this over again, kind of. Also, I have also kind of been thinking about what I would knit this again with, because I think it could be really fun. I think it's I think it works really beautifully, and like I said, it would be cool to like experiment with it more, and like also maybe not experiment with it as an experiment and follow the pattern. But yeah, I'm gonna have like a load of this left over, so then I'm like trying to figure out plans with what I can make with it, because it's just absolutely gorgeous to me, and I love the like colours. I think the one thing that I do feel about using Nora yarn is I'm fine with it being like a little bit varied in terms of like thick and thin, and like ply, that's not the word, like when it's overspun or well, yeah, there's no underspinning, but I mean like when it's very spun. I'm sorry, words great here. And I do feel a little bit like this is maybe slightly overspun in places, and then also, I'm not going to be able to find you a bit, and then also I do feel like at points, oh, can you see this? At points there have been bits that are just like very thick, so like this, and like this is also very much less spun than the rest of it, and I kind of feel like that is a bit too much difference. Like I said, it's fine for there to be some variation, but I think it needs to be variation within like a contained kind of section. And it's also true that there's like a bit that felt like very, very, very thin at one point. Can't remember if I've already knit with it now, but which again, I think that's just a bit too thin. Like I don't think the variation should be like this. I think it should be more like this, because it also means that obviously if you're like knitting to gauge or trying to knit around a gauge, then like if your yarn is varying that much, then it's obviously gonna like throw things a bit off. But yeah, looking forward to try and knit the rest of the sleeve. I kind of did have a plan that I would like to finish this. Today is like today is Thursday. And I kind of had a plan that it would maybe be finished by Monday. It's not. I guess I have to accept. But I do have a train journey on Sunday, so I could knit a bunch of it then, which would be nice because it's looking really cute. Obviously I have to write down what I'm doing to this sleeve so that I can do it for this other sleeve, but I am doing that because obviously if I don't do that then it's going to be annoying because I'll have to work out the same thing again when I could have just written down what I was doing. Yeah, I think that's everything to say about this work in progress, which I will take off. On to the other things that I've been knitting. Oh, maybe I should have gotten the book. I'll just have to commit to putting a picture in. So the next thing that I've been playing around with is based off of this swatch, I guess. Which will be this way as opposed to this way, which is why I held it like this. It's Garter. And basically I was looking at so I have like a toxic trait, which is just that like I buy Susan Crawford books, like vintage knitting books, even though I haven't made very many from the ones that I already have. I'm sorry, nobody's perfect. But I just love them a lot, and like I do really want to make more like vintage knits, but obviously one of the things that I struggle with is them like fitting me or being like in a size range that fits me, and I do think that's like getting much better, and obviously especially as Susan Crawford herself has like published more and more, like she's more and more committed to like size inclusive patterns, but I still also love the like patterns that she produced that are not size inclusive but I am interested in anyway. And so anyway, all that is to say is I have a book of A Stitch in Time volume 2, which I've had for quite a few years now, and I have knitted one thing from it. And I have bought 2 more Susan Crawford books in that time. Actually, I think I bought a third, although that was a gift from someone, so I feel like that doesn't count as much. But I was looking through at the patterns in A Stitch in Time volume 2, which is not like size inclusive. It has a much smaller size range than the like latest patterns, and a couple of them just don't have like a size that would fit me, which is frustrating. But then I know also like Susan Crawford has released like an updated, like a revisited version with some of them like more updated, but some of the patterns haven't been updated either, so I think it would be silly to even get that anyway. And obviously I am so like classically against knitting to the gauge of the pattern that like some of it I can just make work by doing a bit of maths. So that's kind of what I'm planning to do here. I want to make the pinafore jumper, which is part of this like pinafore like set. And I mean I saw it also because it's like a striped pattern. That's how it's knit in this like example. And so obviously you can be pretty creative with stripes, and it also means you can use quite a lot of different yarn if you want. So that's sort of what was begun in my head. And I found some yarn that I like kind of want to finish. Also, I think it's cool that these are like quite similar. So I don't have to worry about like running out of this kind of colour in the pattern. I can just kind of supplement with each other. And I wanted it to be red, so I did buy someone's like leftover of this, which is a Camarose Merino, I think. Maybe called Yucca or Yaka. I have like a whole ball of it as well. Like it was like a ball and a half that they sent me. So I'm going to use that too. I do also have this like Sisu red, which I could use as well. But we'll also see. It's obviously hard to like gauge how much I'm going to need because I'm knitting it slightly to a different gauge. But then also, well not slightly, quite massively to a different gauge. But then also I'm doing that partially because the sizing wouldn't fit me if I knit it to gauge. Or like I would have to do a lot of like my own adding extra here or knowing when to change things or whatever, which is not something I'm able to do. But well let me finish like showing the things I have. So there's these ones. There's also, I have more of this too. This is also like the same as it's the same yarn as this colour, which is a West Yorkshire Spinners. I think it's like a Bo Peep like baby one. This is like leftover like tweedy hobby whatever. It's I think got like recycled stuff in it. I used it in like quite a few things now I think, and there just seems to be like an endless amount of it. So I've also got this, which I think is just an alpaca. This is all I have of this one, but I did really like how there's like if it goes from like a light to a dark to a light to a dark again. I like that, and using the white kind of helped with that. And then the final, is that right? The final one I have is this which is like a really gorgeous blue. Again, it's actually a Nora yarn, which I know it seems like I'm crazy about that, but it's because these were like gifts that I got given like in 2023 for 2024, and then I didn't like really knit at all that year, so they've been things I've been like, I got to knit with these as soon as I am up for knitting. Okay, so this is what I have so far. But basically I just undid like all of what I had knit so far, because I knit the largest size at my gauge to see if that would work for me, because I thought it would be more clever to start there than to start at a smaller one and then need to just like go up and up, and it would also just give me like more of a sense of like how much more I need, if I did need more. It was like gigantic, so like that's good to know. And I think, I can't remember if I did decide, I think basically I am going to knit the smallest size. However, I think like the pattern's original gauge is something like 30 stitches, 60 rows, and my row gauge is like almost always off for like all patterns. But my row gauge for, also I'm knitting this at 3.5 millimeters, which for me is like pretty small, although at this point I am kind of clearly getting into smaller and smaller needle territory, but it's okay. But yes, and my gauge swatch was 20 stitches to 4 inches, and then 44, well, between 40 and 44 rows for the row gauge, between 37 and 44, I guess. But I did also calculate on the piece of knitting that I did, and it was 40, so we're going to go with 40, which means I need to do more knitting this way, even if I do the smallest size. So yeah, I rewrote like the first part of the pattern bearing this all in mind, and so that is what I'm then going to continue to do. I also have a plan where I'm going to knit the back piece first, which is what you're supposed to do, but in doing so that can give me a sense of how much yarn I'm going to need. And I think what my plan is to I have the most of this. I have like 100 grams of this, so I'm like not worried about it running out, but obviously this one I have not very much of, and it's the same with this. And I'm also, yeah, I don't know, where is it in this swatch? I guess it does look nice, I don't know. But yes, basically I'm going to knit the back with just these 4 or 5, I guess, if you count these as different, and then yeah, we're gonna see from there, so that way I can stripe these in. And then the other thing about the back is, which I haven't decided, is I might knit, instead of 2, like every 2 rows I change to a different colour, I might knit 4 rows and then change to a different colour, and then the front would be 2 row changes. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Also, this is like, you know, a wool piece, like it's not going to be knit for summer, like it's not like a summertime knitting project, so that's also partially why I undid it, having done that like practice of like knitting almost half of the back to see where I would be. And yeah, well, I'll pick it up. I mean, I might, you know, keep knitting it right now, but just in the sense of like, there's really no rush, and it's, you know, it's wool. Okay, I got 2 more things to talk about. I suppose I have one more thing I maybe should have got now, but I haven't made any progress with this, so I won't. But this is just like sad because I undid all of the work I had done. I started this literally a year, 2 years ago. I don't really remember. I think it must be 2 years ago, which is, you guessed it, another Susan Crawford pattern, but this one from a like recent like release. This is the Peggy, which is, yeah, like a vest, and I think it looks really cute. And I guess I should have got the swatch I made for it, but basically the reason why I wanted to talk about it is because I knit a chunk of the ribbing, definitely not all of it, and then I tried the ribbing on, and then I was like, this is gigantic, like what is going on here? And like part of that is because, well, more and more I think about it, the more and more I'm like, it probably was just this. I can't remember what needles I did the ribbing in. I know that like I gauge swatched and 3mm needles for like the rest of it worked for me, so that's good. And I might have done either 3mm for the ribbing or less. I just can't remember. But anyway, it was just like gigantic. It was like over 100 stitches too big. So I'm just a bit like stuck and also frustrated because that has been like, you know, that way for like yeah, like I said, like a year and a half maybe, and I should have just tried it on earlier, but I just like didn't, because I obviously haven't really been knitting it. But then when I did pick it up recently and I did a bunch more knitting on it, then I was like, this seems very big, and then when I tried it on, it did not fit. So yeah, a moment of silence for that tragedy. I do think I might ask a friend who likes knitting ribbing to maybe knit the ribbing for me. And that way I think I could ask them to like knit at the 2.5mm needle size, which is not something that I feel like particularly comfortable with knitting at, because it's just so small, takes so long, but also like the pain of it is just a bit like, it's a bit much. And then that way maybe I don't have to worry about going down any sizes, because also from my bust measurement, that was the right size that I picked stitch wise, but then like maybe it wouldn't fit if I went down a size for the ribbing, but then I'd have to like massively increase so that it would fit my bust size. I don't know. I think you do decide what pattern you make via bust size, which is obviously okay, but sometimes that can really not work, obviously, so it's hard to tell. But I also made a lot of these decisions like many years ago. So well, maybe not many, but like a year and a half ago, so I don't really remember my rationale anyway. But yeah, I really should have got the gauge watch so you can see like the vibe that I have for it, but oh, maybe it's over there. Okay, it's right here, I'll show you. Yeah, so I do think it looks really cute. I like love the colors. I'm not sure like if it will work super well with like my skin, but I'm gonna go for it anyway. Like this is what I want to knit and I think it's cute. And yeah, I really like the yellow, green, and then purple. Also, I'm not sure that I have enough of this as the like background color, because actually I bought it as like a job lot off of eBay because it's way cheap, and then I think I bought 2 skeins of it like direct or something, or maybe I saw them, I don't actually remember. But anyway, I have some of this, which is the same kind of yarn that I'm using for some of the colours, specifically the yellow and also the purple, and then, or like it's actually more pink, and then this is more like purple. So I think I'm going to put this in like the ribbing to make it like the background colour, the pink, go a little bit longer. Anyway, that's yeah, that's that disappointment. Okay, and then the final thing I've been knitting, I really have been just like in like a knitting vibe mood, but is something I can't really show you very well, I guess, but I'll do my best. I don't have the third colour that it's potentially going to be, but basically I'm going to knit this, which is the Sugar Plum Blouse by Sydney Crabbar, or Squid's School of Vintage Knitting, Squidney Knits or something. I saw this pattern on Ravelry, and also I have seen other patterns by Sydney that I think are gorgeous, especially, what is it called, like the Seasons dress / skirt. Like, I just think that's absolutely gorgeous. And basically the way that this designer like makes patterns is they're described as like fully size inclusive because they're knit like to your measurements. So you measure yourself, you sometimes have to do various like maths, and then out of your measurements you like, so for example here it's like continue working rows 1 and 2 until piece measures your B circumference measurement. So that's you like inputting to the pattern, so supposedly it should be like, yeah, really able to fit you. I say supposedly just because like I'm interested to try it out, and I think in terms of grading sometimes you actually have to be a bit more careful and clever about how you do that, especially like if you're fat, because you want less, like slightly less ease as you grow up. So because of the way that like it sort of works in terms of fit, I think it's just that like if you make the same level of bagginess as like for slightly thinner people, then it's like a level of bagginess that actually just wouldn't work. But also, obviously you can make your clothes however you like them. I just mean I think sometimes grading isn't just about like fitting it to a particular measurement size, and instead has to be thought about in terms of the rest of your like actual body. And but I'm interested and intrigued to like try this kind of pattern out. I have been really looking for people who like have knit a bunch of like her patterns and are like reviewing them, and there are like a few people who have knitted who have knit like a few of her patterns. I can't find anyone who's fat who has knitted any of her patterns, and that's what I'm really most interested in, because I want to hear like from fat people about like the sizing, or if they had to make any like of their own adjustments and fits and stuff in terms of the patterns, because they're just imagining that you're just a different shape of thinness instead of like a genuine range of body sizes. We'll see. I'm not like optimistic about it. I think like it definitely has potential. It's just I would really love to hear some fab knitters talking about this and their experiences with it. So if you do know any, please let me know. I will check them out. Yeah, but this is what I've knit so far. And also like, because I'm an idiot, like I said, I struggle with the whole like knitting on small things. I've compromised with myself, and this needle is 2.25 and this needle is 2.75. Obviously it's quite a small amount of like stitches to knit, so that's also why I have like left it. But basically it has this like wraparound tie that you knit, and then from the tie you pick up stitches and knit in the round around it. And there is a third colour, like I said, that I don't have, so this is what I'm going to do for the waist tie. And then I'm not sure if I do have enough for this. Basically a friend like had a bunch of yarn that they'd like tried to make multiple projects out of, and in a classic ton of events that all kind of vaguely cursed, so they just like really wanted to get rid of the yarn, and then they were like, these are kind of your colours, and so I was like, yeah sure, I'll take that off your hands and try to make the sugar plum dust. But also I'm moving, so I haven't taken all of it. I just took some so that I could like swatch with it, because yeah, this is my swatch for the like rest of it, not the band. There is also like a particular like pattern at the front, which I guess I should maybe see what it looks like from these needles. But anyway, this is 3.25 needles, and I get gauged like perfectly, so that's great. And yeah, my plan is, it has like why can't I explain this? It's like, you know, a little top, and you do the waistband like this, and then you knit out of it, and then for the sleeves they're like what am I trying to say? The sleeves I'm gonna knit in a different colour, I think. Like this is gonna be the main body, and then the other colour, which is like a lighter colour, I'm gonna knit in yeah, that other colour, like the sleeves, whatever I was saying. Yeah, I did weigh all of it except from like one ball that I had taken home to swatch with, like the other day when I was at my friend's house who's giving it to me, and there wasn't enough altogether to make it, so I'm not sure if this is going to work. But you are also supposed to be holding it double here, like the yarn that you're using, and I'm not. I'm just doing it single because I don't want to hold it double, and I didn't really like how it looked, slash yeah, there was just something like off about it. Well, actually no, it's not true. It's because it's supposed to be held together and then be a DK or something like that. No, isn't this a DK? Oh, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Anyway, but so because I'm not holding it double, I'm hoping that that will work, and then I'm also hoping that because I'm gonna knit it in like this section one colour and this section another colour, hopefully I will have enough. What I might do is because I have the least of this dark purple, I think there's only like one more ball at theirs, if that. I might have taken all, I don't think so, no, I think there's one more skein that's like been unopened actually. But and also, isn't it a nice colour? I do really like it. And it's so true that these are like my colours. But I was thinking that I would then weigh all of this colour that they have, and then all of the other colour that they have, and then whichever one is most, then I could use that to do the body versus the sleeves. But I have been imagining it like this, so hopefully it will be this one. And if there's like only a really small amount in it, then it probably doesn't matter, because either I'll just have enough or I won't have enough, you know, which I've never knit with bamboo before, so that's interesting. So I think the yarn is like, it's all the same yarn, even it's just in different colours. It's a like Debbie Bliss Prima or something, 20% merino, 80% bamboo. I've never knit with bamboo before, but I mean, it's feeling very just like knittable, I don't know. And like not like wool really at all, more like cotton, but we'll see. Yeah, so that's all the plan I have for that. Yeah, I do have one, I feel like this is kind of a summary project, and I realized that like the vibe of the original is maybe more like a winter outfit, because like yeah, but it'd be nice if I can wear it just like in like the spring and summer. But I do have this other project that like I kind of was thinking that maybe I should try and finish this spring/summer, because I started it like 2 years ago now, and it's another Susan Crawford pattern, but from a different book this time. Oh yeah, because I forgot to say that the Peggy is from the like colourwork edition that just came out, like A Stitch in Time Volume 3. And the other pattern that I was thinking I might knit, and I have gauge swatched for it, although again I gauge swatched for it like years ago at this point, so maybe I should redo that because I might have changed my knitting tightness. But it's the Johnson, and I have like a really gorgeous like lace weight, what is it? Is it actual lace? I can't remember. Silk? I think there's a silk in there, but I can't actually remember anymore. But it's like Exquisite by West Yorkshire Spinners, which I bought like when it was on sale for that project, and I haven't used it, so I really should. And it's like a gorgeous like pinky purple colour. Whoa, crazy. So yeah, that's like another kind of thing that like is potentially in the works, but at this point I definitely want to like finish, I mean I really want to finish my Sicimbrium, because you know I know that I can't have loads of things on my needles because there's just too much, but it's okay if there's like a project that's like a long-term ongoing one which I just pick up and like knit a little bit of and move on. But I think the vibe for that project has to actually be like a more like wintry one as opposed to like a spring summer one, because I feel like those ones are more ones that you want to pick up and knit in particular seasons and also wear in particular seasons, whereas the others are just a bit more like evergreen, even if they're more like fall winter garments. I don't know if that makes sense or if that's how other people feel, but that's what I feel. Okay, I think that's everything I had to say. I feel like I just like natted on for ages, but there was like quite a lot to cover, I feel like, in this episode. I hope that you've had a lovely day whenever you're watching this. I hope that you're doing as best you can do in this awful world and finding some joy and sharing it with other people. And yeah, definitely let me know if you've made any of the things I talked about, what you think about my toaster tea, what you think about my Sicimbrium, or if you have any like thoughts about like Nora yarn and its wearability. No, not wearability, I mean like it's wearing, like how it wears, and also its variation, and whether maybe like this is just the one that I am using, because it's also a single ply, so obviously like it's a bit different than if it was like a multiple plied yarn. I don't know, let me know. Oh, it's exactly what it's gonna look like. Okay, well on that note I definitely have to go, so yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you when I next talk to you. Bye.